One ma'am, expert.
Okay, so again, good morning. So the recording is in progress so that anyone nga gusto maka-review then can watch the video. I will upload it in YouTube later. Kinsa toy na ay question? Ayo. Kinsay na ay query?
Besides atom, straightforward naman tanan.
Ha? Okay na? Nasabtan running one, subatomic particles, the atom itself, its kanang kuan theory. Okay, now let's have this. So whenever you will write symbols of the atom, this is very important because our next topic will be having these symbols. So on the upper left corner, we'll have the mass number, and then down is the atomic number. If there are charges, then you write it on the upper right corner. It could be a positive or a negative. So this is the oxidation number. Pag nag-una ang sign, kaysa ang number, we call it oxidation number. Pag nauna ang number, kaysa ang sign, we call it sign niya or iyahang charge. Nasabtan ko. Again, pag nag-una ang sign, kaysa ang number, we call it the oxidation number. Pag nauna ang number, kaysa ang sign, we call it the charge. So, baliktad siya. So actually, the oxidation number and the charge just mean the same. So sometimes in some other books, they show this and call it charge. So para di mo ma-confuse, it's just the same. So walay question sa module 2. Let's go to module 3. Any question here in module 3? Kani kay medyo ni siya libog-libog. Again, there's a correction on the electron affinity. From left to right, it's increasing. Down the group, it is decreasing. Any question? So why do you think the atomic radius decreases from left to right? So the only reason for that is ang iyahang nucleus nagkadako, but ang orbit niya wala man nadugangan. So nagkadako ang nucleus, the same lang ang orbit. What do you think ang mahitabo sa iyahang nuclear force? So the nuclear force between the electrons on the orbit and the protons on the nucleus increases. So kaya nag-increase ilahang nuclear force, so between the positive particle and the negative particle, that's why the atom's radius decreases because ang iyang size nag-shrink siya. Nasabtan? So down the group, the atomic radius increases because as you move downward, you are adding an orbit. So as you go down, you add an orbit. Mo nang magkadako siya. And pagka nag-add kag orbit, nagkalayo siya sa imuhang atomic nucleus. So kaya nagkalayo siya sa imong nucleus, the attraction between the positive particle and the negative particle lessens. Mo nang nagdako siya down the group.
So unsa ka?
Ha? Yes.
So magkadako ang atomic number, ma'am. So magkadako yung atomic radius kay sa valence electrons nga iyang ikuan sa mga orbits.
Depende. Depende sa yung position. As I have said, from left to right, the atomic number increases. Diba? This is 1, this is 2. Kani siya, dama ni dapat dire. Sige, balhin lang siya for the sake na magparehas sila noble gases. Or, kung nata sa ROTC, we call it squaring the unit. So, kani siya, since nag-increase man niyang atomic number, but the atomic radius increases. Nga naman, nagbutang ka og electron, let's differ here. So if this is your nucleus, nagbutang ka din hag electron, nagbutang po kag proton o neutron sa sulod. So both pasabot as you add protons, neutrons in the nucleus, you are also adding electron on the orbit, but you are not adding an orbit because naka sa isa lang ka linya. So meaning nara ka sa orbit 1. So kay nara ka sa orbit number 1, wala ka nagdugang orbit, meaning ang distance ani niya kay nagdako man ang imong nucleus, nagka-lessen. So ang kay nagka-lessen ang ilahang distance, ang imong force of attraction between the positive and the negative, we call it the nuclear force, increases. So kay nag-increase man ang iyahang nuclear force, ang tendency kaning iyahang orbit mo shrink, mo paduol sa nucleus. So mao nang from left to right, the atomic radius decreases. But from top to bottom, the atomic radius increases because in every line here, you are adding an orbit. So from one orbit to two orbits. So kay nagdugang kag orbit, meaning nagkalayo ka sa nucleus. Kay nagkalayo ka sa nucleus, both pasabot the attraction force between the positive particles in the nucleus and the negatives on the orbits lessen. So kay nag-lessen man ang ilang attraction force, meaning nagkalayo. So nagkadako pod ang iyahang atomic radius. Nasabtan. So there is no relationship between the atomic radius and their atomic number. Okay. Ang atong basihan man is the nuclear force, not their atomic number. Nasabtan?
So the bigger the nucleus, ma'am, the smaller the atom.
Yes. So,
Yes, masabtan ako ang regions.
So kay tungod nagadako man ang iyahang nucleus from left to right, so ang ato apong mga orbits nag-shrink kay nagkakusgan man ang imuhang nuclear force or the attraction between the positive particles and the negative particles. The positive particles are all found in your nucleus. So kung madako imong nucleus, madako po dilahang attraction force. Na-clear na? Nasabtan?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So
i-clarify lang.
Okay. Unsa man to, Ken?
Kani pagdako sa nucleus, ma'am, mahitabo ra ni sa nuclear fusion.
Wala man ta naghisgot og nuclear fusion. We are not talking about nuclear reaction yet. We are talking about the atom as it is. Wala ta nang hilabot sa atom. So we do not talk about nuclear fusion or nuclear fission yet. That is for another type of discussion or topic.
Yes,
Dito na siya sa nuclear reaction. So wala ta nag-fuse. Kaya kung may mag-fuse from one atom and another atom, you join them together. That is fusion. So ang nucleus diri sa isa ka atom, nucleus sa isa ka atom imong gi-add. Pero kani siya literally nagdugang gid ta og electron, proton ug neutron. So we are transferring from one kind of atom or one kind of element to another kind of element. So kung magdugang kag isa ka proton, mahimo naman siyang different type of element. Magdugang ka og another na pod, so different type of element pa pod siya. So ingon ana.
Ay, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes. Yes? Kinsa tong nag-excuse?
Katong ganina, ma'am, di ba ang atomic number, kung mention, nakuanday ko, daronday, ma'am.
Yes, darunday sa ato
Hello?
Yes. Di ko nimo madunggan.
Katong atomic number na kung na-mention ganina, ma'am.
Nga naman tong atomic number.
Ay, yes, nadunggan na, ma'am. Kay di ba ang atomic number kay the same equal siya sa protons, number of protons and number of electrons.
No, only number of protons. Because as we go back to our discussion on atoms, only the protons will not leave the atom. Diba? We have isotope, which has a different number of neutron, but the same number of proton. We
Yes.
have ions, which is the same number of proton, but different number of electron. So it means that neutron could be added or could leave the atom. Only protons will never leave the atom. So the identity of an atom depends on the number
Yes,
of
ma'am, I
protons.
understand that, ma'am.
Okay. So, what is your question?
Ang atomic number man could man kay unsa ang atomic number man kay mao pud ang number nimo sa electrons sa atom.
No, not the electron. The protons.
What the?
The number of electrons could differ from atom to atom because electrons could leave or could be added to an atom. The only particle that will never leave or could be added into the atom is the proton. If you add a proton to an atom, it changes the whole atom.
Yes, ma'am.
Of the atom. So the number of
yes, ma'am. I mean nang walay bonding, walay chemical bonding or pwede man siya ma-change yung electrons pod sakto to siya. But sa element alone lang, ma'am, sa element alone without chemical bonding or any chemical bonding.
Excuse me, Mr. Darunday, we have not yet discussed.
Kay kung sa chemical bonding mag-involve man na dira ang bonding sa electron.
You are far ahead of our discussion. Layo na kay ka. Actually, you are on the first module of the second quarter. So, wala pa taan. Ayaw sa paghunahuna o chemical bonds. Just focus on the atom itself. Napata sa atom. So, when we talk about chemical bonds, it involves two or more atoms already. So, focus on one atom sa ta. Okay? Am I understood, Mr. Darunday? Hello? Hello? Wala na lagi mo ng lihok. Hello? Is it clear? Yes.
So, a proton sa atom is constant and then ang kanila ba, ma'am?
Balik ko na ako dito sa module 2. Ito module 2. In module 2, diba we have here terms, some terms in learning atoms. So we have the atomic number, which refers to the number of protons, mass number to the total number of protons and neutrons, the isotope, atoms of the same number of protons but has different number of neutrons, ions, atoms of same number of protons but has different number of electrons. So it means that in the atom, only protons are not differ. So meaning dili sila walay atom nga lain-lain iyahang proton. So meaning the identity of the atom depends on the number of protons it has.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Understood.
nasabtan?
Yes, ma'am.
So again, the identity of the atom depends on the number of protons. That's why its atomic number depends on the number of protons and not on the other subatomic orbitals. Sabtan? Yes.
Sabtan, ma'am.
Okay, any question? So let's go back to module 3. So let's proceed with ionization energy. So ionization energy is the energy required to remove an electron. So if you are near to the atom's nucleus, is it easier to remove the electron or not?
No, ma'am.
Dili, di ba? So as you move from left to right, di ba your atomic radius decreases? So it means that the electrons are, as you move from left to right, are going close to or move closer to your nucleus. So it means from left to right, the energy you need to remove the atom increases. That's why ionization energy increases from left to right. Kaya nagkaduol ang mga electrons sa ilang nucleus. While down the group, your electrons are found further from the nucleus. That's why it is easier to be removed. So kay easier to be removed man sila, the energy that is needed to remove the electron from the atom decreases. So ang imong effort nga imo siyang birahon ma-lessen. Nasabtan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So electron affinity diri medyo nasayop ang atoang atoang sa tag-ani kanang figure. Electron affinity reflects the ability of an atom to accept an electron. So, opposite siya sa energy. So, no, not opposite. So, kung mayroong taog affinity, kung duol siya sa imuhang duol siya sa nucleus, ang isa ka orbit, is it more possible na mag-accept siya og electron or mag-release?
Mag-accept, ma'am.
Good. Mas ma-attract ang electron kinaa sa duol-duol sa imuhang kanang nucleus. So the energy to or the ability of an atom to accept electron is higher. So that's why the electron affinity, kaya ako mang nakopya manggod kaya ang kaning yang radius mo nang wala siya na decrease. So dapat increase na siya din ha, not decrease. Baliktad siya kaning may decrease diari. Kaya nagkalayo man siya. So ang positive nga mag-attract unta sa electron nagkalayo man. So their ability to accept electron is lesser. So down the group, the electron affinity decreases. From left to right, the electron affinity increases. Now, electronegativity measures the attraction of an atom for an electron in a chemical bond. So, kani siya, their ability to form bonds. So, when we say electronegativity, this refers to what type of bond could be formed between two particles or two atoms. So the higher the electronegativity of an atom, the greater its attraction to form bonds between other atoms and other electron in other atoms. So say for example, parihara ni siya og kanang idea ni electron affinity. So electronegativity is just the same idea as electron affinity. If electron affinity is their ability to attract electron, syempre, if they have the higher ability to attract electron, the more nga higher po ang chemical bond nga iyahang ma-form. So, electronegativity has values. So, mo ni siya kani siya na diri sa ubos. So, what you can see, Kani siya dinhi, wala ning sila'y values because they are already stable. So since stable na sila, they are not attracting electrons anymore. Except ani, because in some point na magod sila'y kanang time nga mo bond sila by force. Dili siya by nature, by force. So makaband ni sila through forces. So the electronegativity values run from 0 to 4.0. Dili gini siya actually 0. Kuha ni siya 0.7 to 4.0. So kani ang pinakaubos si francium and si radium. And then pinakataas kay si fluorine. So si fluorine ang pinaka-reactive sa ilaha. So their ability to react from left to right mas increases and then decreases from top to bottom. So say for example, whiteboard. Say for example, let's have carbon and oxygen. Carbon has an electronegativity value of, pila gani ang electronegativity value sa carbon? It has 2.1.5.
2.5.
2.5. How about oxygen? Oxygen is
3.5.
8.5. So, kani ilahang absolute ilahang wala na siya negative o positive. So 3.5 minus 2.5 is 1.0. So let's see asa na fall ang 1.0. 1.0 falls on polar covalent bond. So if you have atom of carbon connected to the atom of oxygen, it will form a polar covalent bond. So muna igamit sa iyahang electronegativity values. So again, the electronegativity measures the attraction of an atom for the electron in a chemical bond. So kanira siyang gamiton for chemical bond. So using its value to determine what type of bond is formed between two atoms. Any question? Wala na?
None, ma'am.
Okay, so that's all for today. Be prepared for tomorrow is our online assessment. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
So thank you for joining. Asa na kamo padulong ani? So goodbye everyone.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Goodbye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.